Hey there, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Vegan in the Grill. I'm David, and in this episode we're going to be diving into that delicious golden buttery cylinder known as corn. But we're going to be doing it in 3 ways, one in the traditional sense of the elote, and 2 other ways, well, that's for me to know and for you to find out. And if that sounds like a good time to you, then go ahead and click like, click subscribe, click the bell button, do whatever you want to do, but I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to get grilling.
Okay, let's get grilling. First things first, corn. Gotta have it. Not a lot of alternatives for corn out there, so let's just stick to corn. You can get it husked or whole, either is fine. I wouldn't, however, recommend frozen corn for grilling, so let's just keep it fresh. Remember to wash your corn in water and dry it thoroughly with paper towels before we start prepping it for grilling. Speaking of prepping, put on those gloves because it is about to get messy in here. Why? Because it's buttery time. This is why you dry the corn beforehand, otherwise the butter will have a harder time adhering to the corn. You're going to take the stick of butter, just like a glue stick, and just run it up and down the reams of the corn, like so. See this? This is ideal. You want the butter to get it in all the nooks and crannies, just like that. Now it's time for the foil. A single sheet per ear of corn will do just fine. And pay attention because I roll the corn up in a special way for a reason. Take the corn near the end of the foil and wrap it tightly. Here's the detail I wanted you to notice. Flatten the ends of the foil. Do not twist. I know it's tempting to twist it up like some corn candy, but that won't help you at all for what we're going to do later. And now we're done prepping the corn. Guess what the next part is? It's grilling time! Well, I mean, it's grill prepping time. I made this faster to save us some time, but you can still see the important steps. Grate removal, ash removal, chimney start, filling and lighting, chimney dumping, and grate replacement. I actually made a video about how to prep your grill. It's episode 0, so go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen it. Putting all the coals to one side to create that hot zone and cool zone separation. As always, let your grill preheat for about 15 minutes. And now we get started. So corn starts off as a very firm vegetable. You're going to want to start it off in the cool zone. We place our corn carefully in the cool zone and we're going to let it cook with the lid on for about 5 minutes. And here's a tip for what you can get for yourself in those 5 minutes. Yep, I'm a cider guy. Now open the grill and rotate your corn. Now I notice not a lot of other people butter their corn before going to grill, but buttering it beforehand and then foiling it pays off, believe me. This stuff is great plain, but we're not having it plain today, are we? Anyways, after turning them, close the grill for another 5 minutes. Now it's time to open them up. Remember when I told you not to twist the ends? You're about to see why. It's much easier to remove the corn this way. And don't worry, aluminum doesn't retain heat very well, so it won't be too hot to the touch. You can do this! Look at those golden cobs of flavor. So beautiful. But they're about to be prettier than that, because we're going to give them a makeover over in the hot zone. Place your corn directly over the coals. If you hear popping and snapping, then that's perfect. The corn is doing exactly what we want it to do. To get a beautiful char on the corn, they only need to rest over the coals for 2 minutes on each side. And also, there's no need to close the grill anymore. But what if I want to char it more, you ask? Well, you could go further than 2 minutes per side and get a lot more char, but for every pop and snap you hear, you start to lose some of those juicy kernels to the heat. You want to grill it, not burn it. Yeah, look at that. Now that's ideal. Two more minutes have passed, and we're just going to roll them around and check on them, see if that's what we're looking for. Yep, looks good. It's plating time. Now I know you want to eat it, but hold on and let it cool for about 7 to 10 minutes. What we're about to do to it is we're going to put mayonnaise all over these things. And if they're too hot, that mayo is just going to slip right off. Now the first was regular vegan mayo, if you missed it. But the second one is a 1-in-1 mix of vegan mayo and vegan sour cream. What are we doing? You'll find out. This is Gochujang. It's a Korean hot pepper paste that is so delicious and spicy. If you don't have it, get it. You can find it in your local Asian supermarket or even online. And today we're going to use it to make Gochujang mayo. 1 part mayo, 1 part Gochujang. You can adjust this for flavor if the heat might be too much for you. And there you have it, 3 mayos for 3 grilled corns. Takis! I hope you know about these, a favorite personal snack of mine. We're going to use them to create a spicy and cheesy mixture to coat one of our grilled delights. Just give them a little spin in a food processor for a moment. If you don't have a food processor, you can just crush them up in a Ziploc bag and make this mixture that way instead. Now here's our second component, Nooch! The tried and true vegan cheese flavoring. About 3 tablespoons will do. Now here's smoked paprika. Just a dash of this for some bold kick to the mix. And now we're going to give that another spin. And this is the consistency that you want to look for. Not a fine powder, a little crunchy. So what are we making with all this, you wonder? First, the traditional elote. Make sure you have some wooden skewers handy or this might be a little trickier than it needs to be. Check the components list in the top left of the video. But if you miss it, it's down in the description as well. Don't worry, I got your back. So it's time to slather that mayonnaise on, and I mean slather it. Coat it thick. You don't really want to see corn underneath the mayo if you know what I mean. Don't worry, I'll fast forward this part. Now here's our alternative for tortilla cheese. Follow your heart's vegan Parmesan. Make sure to shake it over the corn and get as much on there as possible. You want that corn looking like it's wearing a fuzzy sweater. Next up, chili powder. A few dashes will do. Don't overdo this, you can ruin the flavor. Now for my favorite part, the hot sauce. Strongly recommend Tapatio hot sauce for this. As far as Mexican hot sauces go, it's my favorite. And finally, to add a fresh note to it as well as some lovely color, cilantro. No need for too much, just enough to top it. And that's 1 down, 2 to go. What's the second one? It is the Korean-inspired K-corn. Slather it up using that delicious Gochujang mayo that we made earlier. So what's next? Toasted sesame seeds. Make sure they're toasted, not regular. Now, chopped green onion. Just like the cilantro, it's here to add a note of flavor and a splash of color. Oh, isn't this one gorgeous? It really is a looker. And finally, the Takis Firecracker. This one is simple, only 2 steps. Mayo, then the mixture. Observe. One note about the mayo sour cream mixture. You could just use mayo alone, but I found that mixing the two helps balance the tanginess. When you've got enough of the mixture on the plate, feel free to roll the corn around in the mixture. You can also grab some Takis to patch up any holes that you see. Oops, dropped it. Anyways, look at this. Crunchy, spicy, cheesy goodness. Oh! Wow! Look at them! Aren't they beautiful? And you can do this too! You saw how simple it was to make. Now it's your turn. If you give these a try, I would love to hear back from you in the comments. Let me know how it went, and if you came up with your own corny creation. Oh, gorgeous! Here's the part where you watch me eat it. First, a sniff, then a taste. It was cheesier than I was expecting, probably because it didn't get enough hot sauce in my first bite, but it's so good. Next up, the Takis Firecracker. This ended up being my favorite, as you'll see when I take multiple bites of it. I'm a texture guy, so I really appreciated the crunchiness mixed with the heat of the Takis and the char of the corn. 10 out of 10, would have again. And finally, the K-corn. Such a beauty. The spiciest of the three and most complex in flavor, it was wonderful. I only get one bite before a fly gets in my face and ruins the shot. Oh, but anyways, that's it for another episode of The Vegan and the Grill. I really hope I've inspired you to get out there and grill some plant-based foods, because it's not all salads and rice with a plant-based diet. There's a whole bunch more. Let me know if you like this content with a like or a comment, and be sure to subscribe if you want more.
Corn. Look at that.